out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, Radford pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark.
How you doing? Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room or on the Special Incorporated text line. Phil Elmassian is going to join us at 7. We're going to just talk about Lou Holtz. Of course, he was with Coach Holtz and knows him very, very well. The renowned author, Roland Lazenby, joins us. Coming up at 7:30, and then we'll finish it off with Jen. I believe Jen's okay. Can't remember. I know she's traveling somewhere today. But it is the Finally Friday edition here on the program. Hey, how are you? I'll be heading out a little bit after the show to go to Johnson City, Big South tournament. Started last night with the women, as did the ACC tournament. Men today. Radford plays late. We'll be probably tipping off around 9 o'clock. Coming up. Radford, the number 3 seed against Presbyterian. How's everybody doing on a Friday? Made it to the end of the work week. It's March. It's tournament time. We've got 70-degree temperatures again today. 70s-ish, right? What are we up to? 75 today. I'll take it. I don't know what it's like in Johnson City. But whatever it is, I will take it without question. From the Denman Center and the Highlanders Bust of Hearts to Johnson City, the RU Hardwood Boys will get off to a fast start. Listening here in Palm Coast, Rick is announcing like it's a fine art. You never miss. You never miss. You never miss, Morse. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm guessing we'll be on probably around 8:30 with a tip-off around 9 would be my best guess tonight. Because it is late, by the way. Very, very late. As the 3 seed. I noticed last night, watching some of the women's action, not a lot of people there. And I think it's the problem of the league is having the tournament. And it's having the tournament in a state that doesn't have any Big South teams. So I think that's probably a issue, be my guess. But there weren't a lot of people there yesterday for the women's tournament. So that's a problem. I think that's a problem. Well, I'm interested to see today during the men's games what it looks like. Big South's had an issue trying to find the right venue. As much as I didn't used to like it, I know they want a tournament. They're dead set on having the tournament with the men and the women together in the same venue, which I guess for a league like ours, it makes sense, but you don't see other leagues doing that. And I don't know off the top of my head any other leagues that hold their tournament in a state that doesn't have any members. So I think that's the biggest mistake of the whole thing. But I'm interested to see the vibe that's around there today as the games are taking place. Don't like it. I don't like, as a broadcaster, waiting around all day to be the last game. And I bet you coaches probably don't like it either. Yeah, Salem does seem like it would be better. It just, you have 2 teams here, High Point's close. I mean, everybody, regardless of where Charleston Southern, unless you play it down in South Carolina, the 3 South Carolina or 4 South Carolina teams are all going to be far away. But I'm going to go into it with an open mind today and just kind of watch and observe. I know last year I think we accepted Johnson City because before that we'd been in the Bojangles Arena, which was just terrible. I mean, it was awful. And nobody came to that tournament. And I'm just wondering if we might be better off going back to the way it was, much as I don't really like the premise of just having it on campuses. Of course, we had that opportunity with Carleek. We had back-to-back years when Carleek hit the shot against Liberty. We had 5,500 people in Denman Center. Then the next year against Gardner-Webb, and they beat us, but we still hosted, and it was packed. So maybe the only way to get people to go is – but the problem is a lot of times it falls under your spring break as well. So I don't really have the solution other than I don't think – at least on paper, it's a smart idea to have your marquee tournament in a state that doesn't have any Big South teams. That's my first thought. And looking around yesterday, there was very little attendance at the first round of the women's game. I mean, you're going to have your pockets of fans who go and support, but you're asking local people, right, you can't ask everybody to travel who's going to attend, right? You need to have some local interest. And if people around that area in Tennessee are looking around and they're going, well, all of our teams are in the SoCon or in other leagues, it might be difficult to get them to get fired up to say, hey, let's go spend whatever we need to spend to go check out the Big South Conference quarterfinals. But I want to see what it looks like today. High Point plays the first game, the number 1 seed, 28 wins. They travel pretty well. But I want to talk to some local folks around the area and see what their vibe is toward it too. Try to get some intel. This is the same conference who took the vote away from us, the media, for their all-conference team. So, yeah. So that's tonight. Radford women won last night. They dominated Charleston Southern, so now they'll play in the semifinals on Saturday. And the Tech women won. They beat Georgia Tech. I think Winslow had 15, and then they'll play North Carolina next, the 3 seed. Winnable game. They could beat Carolina. And so that will be an interesting one to watch. Tech women are in the tournament, so they don't have to worry about playing themselves in the tournament. So that's something else that they don't have to worry about, but they would like to put themselves in a chance to win it. Who knows? But they started playing well consistently, really over the last few weeks. And that's what you want to do. Now they're carrying it into the postseason, and you want to carry it into the NCAA. Same thing with the Radford women. They destroyed Charleston Southern yesterday. They were up by like 22 at halftime, led by 30-some in the third quarter. So the ladies on both sides got it done. And now we'll see if the men can get it done. Radford tonight and then Tech tomorrow against UVA. And what is really their last shot to have any hope at the NCAA tournament. If they lose that game, I don't think anything short of winning the tournament's going to get them in. I see all these people try to say, well, if they just win a couple of games, I don't think that's going to do it. But you win tomorrow, then that probably puts that back in play without question. Good morning, Rodney. Yeah, it will be, Morris. I think Coach Elmo needed some time, kind of come to grips with Coach passing away. I mean, it wasn't shocking news, but the fact that it happened, it still kind of gets you. So he'll come on today. Yeah, I agree, Tina. Yeah, I think they got a shot. Why not? The way they're playing, sure. I hope they get it done. The Carolina women are good. But Tech played them very closely over at Castle, so neutral floor. We'll see. I'm hoping I get into the March Madness spirit of things tonight. I'm not really in it yet. When you show up to the venue, maybe that helps a little bit. But we shall see. No, Kevin, thanks for the text line message. No, well, ESPN Plus will be the quarterfinals. No TV per se in terms of like a network until we get to the championship on Sunday. But you can listen to us on the radio network if you don't have the Plus. And I'm guessing the Tech game will be on ACC Network. Is that right? Tonight? Let me see. Just make sure we lead everybody in the right direction. Yep, 7:30. As a matter of fact, they have the whole day on for the quarterfinals. Clemson and Duke, Notre Dame, NC State, Syracuse, Louisville, and then Tech and Carolina. So there you go. There's your quarterfinals. All right. Yeah. All right. So we'll see. Good luck to the Hokies. I hope they get it done. And to be honest, they're fully capable of it. Fully capable of it. Morris says Ohio State in the 1969 Rose Bowl. Lou was coaching the secondary. Woody Hayes asked, why did OJ go 80 yards for that TD? I told him because that's all he needed, coach. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I'm just going to let Coach Elmo cook today with stories and recollections. I'll have to bring that one up, Morris. Remind me. That'll be good. I may have to go here in a second, and I hear Creed up there scratching. I'm going to have to go get him. But yeah. That's funny stuff. Funny stuff. Matter of fact, I'm going to go do that right now. He's driving me nuts. You can't hear it on the camera, but he's, for some reason, sometimes he wants out the back door. I think it's because the birds are back. And when the birds are back, you know, he wants to do his thing. So let me go get that done. I know it's Friday. Sorry. Let me give you a little bit of I'll give you Selma dancing in the studio. How's that? I'll be right back. Let me go take care of the animal. I know. Hang on. Okay. So you get up there and you let him out and he runs back in, then he wants back out. I don't understand. It makes no sense. Let's see here. Did my something happen here? My camera has stopped working. There we go. Hang on. There we go. Okay. All right, we're back. I don't know. Don't forget, we get into daylight savings time in the other direction. Is it still called daylight savings time I guess it is. So Sunday we move the clocks up, which I think is most favorable for people, right? They like that better. You know what I'm thinking about, though? I'm thinking about it from a basketball standpoint. Solely from a like if you're playing a later game in some of these tournaments on Saturday, then you have to go to bed a little earlier because you lose an hour of sleep Sunday morning to get into the next day. So that happens this weekend, and then they're going to have much longer days. What's great now is the sun is already coming up, which is really cool. But Creed has to be out. This is his time. He knows the weather has turned. Grass is starting to get green. Birds are everywhere. He knows. They just know, right? They feel it in the air. They feel the atmospheric change before we do. And he's pretty much going to be outdoors 75% of the time now. So, but that's okay. That's his gig. That's what he does. But yeah, Morris, I'm looking forward to talking to Coach Elmo about Coach Holtz. That'll be fun. That'll be fun coming up. I want to thank all of our sponsors. I want to thank Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. James Lawson's been doing it since 1997. He's located over at 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg at 540-381-8011. The NRV Super Bowl with Terry Stike. Give them a call, 382-5525. The weekend is here. They'll put on basketball games if you want to watch some tournament action, whatever it might be. They're going to come up like they did. Their Super Bowl was such a success, like when they had the Super Bowl on so people could bowl. They're going to do the same thing for the NCAA championship games. I think they're doing it for the men and the women. So in other words, if you want to just go over and bowl during those games, they'll have them up on the screens as you bowl. That's pretty cool. But they've added a lot of really cool stuff, and you should go check it out. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel for our T-shirts. If you want a shirt, hit me up. They're $20. They're awesome. Thanks to Family Fencing for sponsoring our studios, 540-282-94. And we're going to maybe get some updates on all the things that they have to offer. You know, we're going to find out about any type of fencing, by the way. Any type of property that you want to be updated, they will do. They don't have any limits to what they do. And now this is their time, much like Balboa Creek, to come out and help you. Mark Hunley is always willing to help you over at McClellan Chiropractic. Check them out. Over off Walters Drive, Peppers Ferry Road, then Walters Drive. Then you take a right into the brand new big building, and he's got every modern gizmo of technology you could think of. And we're going to show you all that here coming up later this month. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Stacy Compton will join us on the program on Monday's show to talk all about the IHRA. Don't want to miss that. NASCAR veteran, talk about Tyler Reddick. Is he going for his fourth in a row this weekend? Go see Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee, 540-553-2971. I've heard from two people in the last 2 weeks that use them for their heat, and they just rave reviews. Good people that care about their community and just not collecting your money. Little River Heating and Air. They started off because they didn't like the way the industry was going, where they had been before. And they said, we're not going to do that to people. We're going to take it ourselves and do it. Love that. BDST Fan Question of the Week is brought to you by Ryan Pry, the attorney down in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning, 701 West Main Street. And the number 7 won. We ended up with 32 votes. That said 7 is the floor. So there you go. 7. Got it done. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me in this program. I'm dealing with them, talk to them about every day now. So I'm trying to do some refinancing that's going to make everything into one payment. And they have been awesome. Just awesome. And Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated, sponsor of our text line that never stops buzzing throughout the day, which is great. Residential commercial garage doors for 38 years. They're right up there across from the New River Community College. And go see Travis and hang out. Got his workforce going, and they are everywhere. And they've earned it. Ready, Set, Fun with Bob Christ, the ReadySetFun.com, BOBCRIST11 at Gmail. What they do is they send out a series of text messages to help you raise some money. The Tech softball. Floyd County softball team did it last year, and they had it. I think they had a goal of getting it done in a week. They had everything they needed in 4 days, and they had surpassed it by about $1,000, something like that. Just incredible. And on Monday, we started our newest sponsorship here on the program, and it's Sundown Electric. They have one of the best reputations of any business that I've heard of. Long list of satisfied clients. They talk about the attention to detail, craftsmanship, you name it. And they always are very open to their client. Honest and integrity. Another two sons, carrying out what their father had done. And we want to thank Sundown Electric for their support. It's awesome. It's awesome. And thank you, by the way. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel wherever you might be. Another Louism. They threw oranges at him at the Orange Bowl. Lou Quip said, thank God we weren't at the Gator Bowl. See, I love that. I love quick wit like that. You know, somebody who's just enjoying being a coach and having fun. That's a great line. You know, that's a great line. Do we have a whole lot of personalities like that anymore in college football? And I'm not talking about the guys who are always just kind of overly emotional, but I was talking about guys like that who just can throw out quips and have fun. Maybe the fun's been taken out of it because of pay for play. Maybe that's what it is. The portal. Apparently in college basketball, it's strange. And I didn't know this till yesterday. Maybe I knew it, but I didn't. But like, for instance, in college basketball, I got a couple of texts yesterday from college basketball coaches who I have a good relationship with. Apparently there's something called the pre-portal. What? It's not advertised. It's never talked about. But apparently guys, and I haven't heard this for football, but in college basketball, they put their names in and I guess their agents, their handlers are letting people know that before the official portal opens, we've already decided we're done. We've got our paperwork. We're going to go as soon as we're done playing. And so coaches were asking me about players that I'm very familiar with that are in this pre-portal. And it was a lesson for me. I didn't know that. So now not only do you have the portal, you have a pre-portal. Where will it end? Round and round it goes. Where it stops, I don't know. But yeah, there's like a unspoken pre-portal. So coaches are feeling like, much like in football, that we're going to have a record year for basketball players jumping in. Yeah, the shadow portal. Yeah, there you go. That's what it is, Prometheus. I think that's kind of what it is, even though this is more toward post-regular season. And I knew guys would kind of make their intentions known, right? they'll tell their coaches that, look, I'm going to do this, but apparently now it's a thing. I don't know if it's an official list or what, but coaches already know who's for the most part going to leave in a lot of places. Anyway, I just appreciate people reaching out to me. It makes me feel good. They respect what I had to say about certain players, so that was cool. That was cool. And I didn't ask any questions beyond that. I'm not going to like, hey, how much are they going to make? But that's a thing now. But they both said that they feel like this is going to be the biggest movement because now more money, the money seems pretty much across the board. The pay for play money is going to football and men's basketball. The high percentage across every major, that's where it's going because those are really the only two that make any money consistently. We can get into the fairness of it all you want, but the bottom line is it's a business. Virginia Tech football has to be good again, right? For the business to be flourishing. And you say that for anybody, it's a football school. And in a lot of places, men's basketball is the program. So that it has to be good. It has to be good. And you're going to feed money into the things that make money. And that's what's going to hurt all these other sports long term, I believe, if we continue down this path without any kind of leadership or regulation. I did ask the question yesterday from both of these coaches, and I won't name them. I already had somebody ask, hey, who are you talking to? I'm not going to do that. And I asked the question, do you think this is going to come to any kind of solution? And they said, no. We don't have any indication that anybody's going to step up. So now everybody's trying to get ahead of time. Can no one hear me? Is the sound off? I'm not getting an indication that my sound is off. Are we good sound-wise? Can everybody hear me? Thunder says he's having a sound issue. Let me know. Hit me up in chat. Did we lose audio? Do I have to get out and go back in? It wouldn't surprise me. Hit me up in chat. Let me know. Loud and clear, Brian says. Okay. I don't know, Thunder. Maybe go out and get back in, kind of reboot it. Sometimes that seems to be the solution. Heck, that's what I've done when I've had issues here. I know it sounds silly, but yeah, you just go in and out of it and it comes right back. Thanks, Brian. But I did ask that question. I said, what are you guys hearing? I mean, coaches know. They hear things more than I think anybody else, either from their ADs, administration meetings they have with, and they all unfortunately say they don't see anybody going to be able to step up and fix this. So my next question was, is it going to go to Congress? And each one of them said yes. Apparently there's a big meeting this weekend with President Trump and some people around college sports. And they said that's going to be the only way it's going to get fixed. So I'm not saying that's the right path, but they feel like that's the only path. And we've been talking about that all week. It's kind of interesting, things we talk about. And both these coaches were talking about it. We were wondering how else was it going to happen about appointing the commissioner. And I asked one of the coaches who I know a little better than the other coach. I said, what about all this commissioner stuff? And he just started laughing. He said, no. Because he said the same thing. Who's gonna have any authority to come in? Who's gonna dictate that guy or woman is gonna say you're gonna do things my way because here's the authority? Authority of whom? The NCAA that's let it get to this point. So we were all over it here on the program, which makes me feel good. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of that, Brian. You know what was interesting to me? And just throw I don't know what political leanings anybody has, that I talked to yesterday, but I'm just saying they were fine with it. They just want something to be done, which I thought was interesting. Sounds like Lynchburg did better with their baseball team. The Lynchburg Howlers. Is that what they are? The Howlers? Well, nothing is going to be worse than what Salem did. Yeah, I'm keeping a little bit of an eye on that. There's some rumblings going around Tech baseball. They invested a lot of money. I mean, Chef makes a lot of money to be a college baseball coach in a sport that loses a lot of money every year. And they are really, 4 in a row? Marshall throttled them. Now they have to go to Georgia Tech, one of the best hitting teams in the country. They're not getting a good return on investment the last few years on that baseball program. Pitching, they haven't been able to solve. They haven't recruited well since they hosted the Supers. And I think again, we just talked about programs that make money, and so therefore those are the ones that's going to get the money. Tech baseball loses a lot of money. Matter of fact, 95 or 98% of the programs across the country loses money. A couple baseball coaches said they think about 12 to 15 teams actually turn a profit, and most of those are in the SEC. Shocker. So, yeah, I think keep an eye on that, Prometheus. We'll get to see them. Well, Radford will play them twice, and I'll get to call one of the games when it's down at Williams Field. So we'll get a good up-close look, and Evan will be out there. I'll talk to him and kind of get a vibe for what's going on with the baseball program. But it doesn't seem to be going very well right now. And it gets magnified by the fact that they play in one of the best leagues in the country. I mean, it's the SEC and then the ACC, right? Those are two great conferences. But yeah, keep an eye on what comes out of this meeting this weekend. There's some prominent people there, and I mean, I don't know which other way to go on this. I really don't. But the only way it's going to happen is if it comes from a higher authority, because the authority in college athletics has been completely just willingly given away. So it's disappointing. It's disappointing to say the least. So that might be what happens. I don't know when it would change, but the quick answers I got to the question of whether or not they felt like this was going to be solved internally within the college sports realm was like, no chance. No chance. But greed, fear, fat cats, where all the money was going to all the other places, not being, in a lot of cases, kind of like small town owners. A lot of times the money wasn't being put back into the athletic program. A lot of it was being pocketed, shared amongst administrators, shared on campus with college presidents and the cabinets up there. Kind of felt like a Ponzi scheme, kind of like the owners in sports. If they don't put money back into their franchise for the fans, they just collect all the money. I guess you think about, and this is why I will always believe that human beings are not the central intelligence of the universe. Don't you think somebody, when all this was going to happen, when they knew it was inevitable after the O'Bannon ruling, shouldn't somebody have said, well, wait a minute, how are we going to be able to make sure that 18, 19-year-olds can handle being millionaires. Shouldn't somebody had put it up? Oh, yeah, it was embezzlement, Prometheus, and it happened all the time. You better believe it. Absolutely it did. All the time. Now, sometimes the money would be used for improvements, academics, colleges, universities, academics used to be the thing. Now it's about trying to teach your young people whatever ideology you have politically than it is trying to teach them about things that could help them, get a job, have a career. But there were always questions about where all the money was going. We knew it wasn't going to the athletes. We just knew that it was being, distributed within the needs of the department. In other words, it was completely fraudulent, which is another reason why the O'Bannon case was passed. Because I think all that stuff came up in that case. Correct. They're trying to teach younger people who are very vulnerable what to think and not how to think. This is what I think politically. This is what I think about life. This is what you should think. Not how do I learn more about what I want to do with my life in terms of my professional career. Yeah. Well, this could have, again, I'm not going to blame the kids, Prometheus, but there needed to be a plan in place before it all happened. There needed to be a salary cap and a salary floor. There needed to be some kind of thought process. This thing turned into pay for play almost immediately after the O'Bannon ruling. Almost immediately. I mean, you had a few tech guys, right? I remember who was the wide receiver that came from Old Dominion that washed out, never could stay healthy? He just graduated. What was his name? Remember, we kind of thought he was going to be a mega star, like a can't miss star, couldn't stay healthy. I remember he had a couple of business endorsements, whatever his name is. And I remember that's how NIL was supposed to look. I think he had a car dealership endorsement. He did cut a commercial and he did something else for an insurance company. And I'm like, okay, now they can do that. And if the businesses want to hire that athlete and they're, tech donors or their boosters or their supporters, then that makes perfect sense. He should get that money. And that's what it was supposed to be. That was the whole thing about the O'Bannon case. Video games making billions. These guys' names are on it. Their images are on it. Name, image, and likeness. They get zero. No matter how old school you think, that's wrong. Take it out of what they make to play, but just think about that for a second. EA Sports, a multi-billion-dollar company, was making all these things with all these players, and they got nothing. NFL, it's negotiated in their collective bargaining agreement, so all those guys get something because they're used in the game. There you go. Thank you, Tebow. Ali Jennings was a complete washout, basically because he couldn't stay healthy. But immediately, because he was supposed to come in and be great, he had 2 deals. I remember hearing his commercials. And when I first heard those, I said, so that's the way this is going to work. Okay. He should get that money. But it didn't do that. I'm sure there were other guys. But, boy, that didn't seem to last very long, did it? It went immediately to let's cut a deal. And you know why it naturally went to let's cut a deal? Because that's what's always been done. Coaches could not get away from what they had learned or what their mentors had done. I mean, Coach Elmos talked about it. So it was always give something under the table at that point to come play football at X school or Y school. So they went immediately to that. And the reason that has taken off and completely just overwhelmed what NIL was supposed to be is because this is what has always been done. Guess what? Here we go. Blue chips. It's become blue chips legally. And the kids, they don't care. Were they supposed to stop it? So instead of Ollie Jennings having to go record a spot for whatever car dealership, now, you're offering me what? $1.5 million? What do I have to do? Nothing. You going to come play ball? Okay. Do I need to endorse anything? No, just come out and play and do your best. Okay. Again, the adults in the room immediately took it to that level. No, it's not chump change, but it's naive to think that anybody today, given what they've been given, is going to look at that as being proper payment. I mean, I agree with you, Prometheus. And people didn't ask the questions when this was going on for decades. And full room and board, books, and all that. But those have to be renewed every year too. You think about it. In a way, those are almost like these employee contracts that we talk about. In a way. Because scholarships have to be renewed every year. They're not just automatically rolled over. And that's what these pay-for-play deals need to be. They need to be year to year with the school holding the option, not the athlete. And I'm wondering if that's what might come out of this congressional meeting at some point. We'll see. No, TLB, there's not. Nope. As long as people are getting greased and they have money, they don't care. Let's just say it the way it is. You may not like to hear that, but that's true. Administrators are still getting rich, making ridiculous salaries to make no decisions as presidents and athletic directors, commissioners, now the athletes. The only people who seem to be paying more are the fans. No, I agree with that, Tebow. I don't. Everybody keeps acting like Tech's got all this depth at wide receiver. I don't think so either. I think the kid from Duke's going to be very good in the slot. But to your point, you've got to have a quarterback that knows how to utilize what he has. And that's why I think, guys are throwing now. They get to know each other. It's important going into the spring. So I agree with that 100%. Everybody seems, look at this kid. Look at that. Okay, well, let's just wait and see about the wide receivers. I think the tight ends are going to be good. Grunkmeyer seems like the kind of guy that's going to be able to distribute the ball around. Like he just – thinking about the times I watched him. When I watched him play Indiana, he was very good at not locking in just on one guy and one route. He had several reads he could go through. And they had a pretty good offensive line there. And that's why Franklin's trying to get a good offensive line in front of him. But on paper, it feels like the kid from Duke is going to just be really good. And I know it's different but I heard all this stuff about Ollie Jennings too. It's interesting he came up. I mean, Ollie Jennings was going to be all ACC immediately, and then he couldn't stay on the field. But how much of that, to your point, Tebow, how much of that was the quarterback situation? I mean, let's just say it the way it is. Kyron Drones was a complete bust. I mean, he made a lot of money at the time. That was a whole lot of money. He was the first $1 million player in that football program. And Brent Pry evaluated him only after a couple of starts at Baylor and thought he was going to be the future. Well, he was wrong. I appreciate how hard the guy played. He never, at least last year, he really just was a tough guy. He got the crap beat out of him. But he wasn't that guy. And if you miss on that quarterback investment, and for me, I feel like, I don't know. We saw him for 7 games, but it feels like Grunk's going to be just fine. Like he won't be a miss. I think he's got enough. He's played enough. He'll be fine. He'll be good. He'll be good. No, he couldn't. He couldn't. And it showed up more before this past year. He couldn't play 2 years ago, Drones. Now, he was good at running. He's a heck of a draw guy. But, yeah, it's true, Wayne. It was like Jennings got hurt, and then there were some rumors, remember, that he wasn't working very hard to get back because he knew he was still getting paid. That I remember all that from a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah, we talked about it a lot on the show. Matter of fact, when we have Coach Pry on, he would just he wouldn't mention guys by name, but he felt like there were times he'd say guys weren't doing what they needed to do to get back, and I'm wondering how much of that was directed at him. But I think of all, I throw out a lot of the whole speculation about the guys that Franklin brought in, but I think he got the quarterback thing right. Somebody that is familiar and somebody who looked the part to me, watching him play. So I think he's going to develop just fine as now the guy. I think he's got a lot of good intangibles to him. And I know one thing. Having the tight ends back as a focus is going to be night and day. Man, oh man, oh man. How in the world did that just go away in the Tech offense? It won't anymore. So maybe all those gold chains at ACC basketball media should have been put away. So we'll see what comes out of this. I don't know what's going to come out of it this weekend. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, and we'll see about Baker. I know he's athletic, but he's kind of unproven. But all you have to do is go with the guy who got the check, the big check. And for what they paid for Grunkmeyer and what they paid for Baker, you know how you go out in free agency and you sign a guy to be the starter? You give a guy starter money. So in other words, just like at every other school, if you pay somebody a certain amount, the backup or the other guy is going to have to work really hard and really be clear cut better to overtake them. Because right now, keep in mind, we don't have contracts that say, hey, if you don't win the starting job, your salary goes down to this. Now, we should. That would be a great idea. But what one of the coaches said yesterday is very poignant. And then we're going to get Coach Elmo on here. He said, Rick, the thing that all of us talk about, and he meant the entire college basketball coaching community, is how everyone has just willingly given all the power to these kids to dictate the market, to dictate how every move has to be made. We've all just fallen into it. And he included himself. We've all just fallen into it. Because there are no rules, and there's nobody to tell us we don't have to do this, but none of us are willing to do it. I love the way he kept throwing himself in there. And you know what? He's exactly right. There's no rule in place. There's no players association. There's no governing body that would say, hey, if the schools would just stand up and go, we're done. It's not going to happen. And we have talked about this a little bit on the show. But nobody would throw up any kind of red flags if they were just to say, we're going to come up with our own. This is what a quarterback gets. This is what a lineman gets. This is what a guard, right? This is what you're going to be paid. The market should dictate it in terms of what the cost of doing business, and how that makes sense. But that's not the way it is. Thunder says it's human nature. Some local auto racing folks will spend $100,000 on a car for $500 Saturday night purse. We're not always smart in competition. No. Something to that too. Something to that too. Yeah, Hune will never take a snap at Tech, in my opinion. Too many years left for both of those guys ahead of him. He'll develop this year. He's going to get acclimated, get into a system, get his body right. But he'll have people in his handler's ear from day one. If he shows anything in the spring, that guy will be out of here quickly. Because guys aren't going to sit anymore. They're not going to sit and develop. I mean, it's just the way it is everywhere. So this is why I don't get excited about freshman classes anymore. That's why high school kids aren't even getting talked to anymore. Tried to tell people what was going to happen. Nobody wanted to believe me back 5 years ago. Coach Elmo going to join us here. We're just going to talk about Coach Holtz. Be good. I don't know, Wayne. It's too early to see. Dabo, I don't know. Is Dabo truly on the hot seat? If he wanted, he could get a job pretty quickly. I don't know. Too early to tell, right? Braum just got a big extension at Louisville. They're not going to fire Belichick. Belichick's just going to leave when he wants to leave. Manny Diaz is rising, right? I think he got a new deal because they went to the title game. I haven't heard of a new deal yet for Elliott, but they were just in the ACC title game. It's coming, right? BC, Bill O'Brien, probably one. Say that one's one to keep an eye on. But I think Dabo may be more of an institution to where they're not going to. Now, if he has another bad year, I could see things building there, but I don't necessarily think so. People always try to say that. Last year, remember, they'd have a couple big losses. Then the administration says, we never even thought about it. And I kind of believe that. What's he won? 2 national titles? 2? Was it 2? 3? Yeah, he is a big dude, Tebow. And this has nothing to do with Tech at all. I'm just saying this is just the nature of it. And they have 2 talented guys ahead of him. You think he's going to sit here 3 years and not try to go out and make money and get playing time somewhere else? Because I know Coach Elmo likes him, but that's not the way it works anymore. I got the sun coming right at me here because I didn't shut the shade again. And there he is joining us on the program. Phil Elmassian. What's up, Coach? How you doing, man?
Morning, Rick.
Let's talk about this real quick, and I want to get into Coach Holtz because that's why you're here today. I know condolences to you. I know in a lot of ways he's your extended family, but talking about the Hune kid at Tech, you like him a lot as a freshman, but you have a young guy, Grunkmeyer, a younger guy in Baker ahead of him. You can't expect kids just to sit around for 3 years anymore and wait their chance. Even if you're a talented guy like Hune, everybody else is going to notice that he's talented too, right? So that kid's going to be like, okay, let's go see what I can get.
Well, excuse me. Sorry, Rick. I haven't had much sleep the last couple of days.
I understand.
So I apologize. Raspy voice. My coaching voice is kicking in now.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
After 4 days of preseason, you lose your voice.
Yeah, I get it.
But not, the key to the Hune is if he's a January kid. I still don't know. I haven't heard anything. If he's coming in August, he will redshirt because there's no way you get a kid ready to play in 3 weeks. He may end up being in the 2 deep and be the backup. Who knows? But if he comes in January, and Grunkmeyer comes in January, well, that's where the competition could come in. But if he's an August kid, there will not be competition between the UNC kid and the Penn State kid. That's where the competition will be. I think the UNC guy is a real project. I'm not so sure he's a prospect. I think he's a project. You
didn't necessarily dislike him, but he didn't really knock your socks off, did he?
Oh, he's athletic. But here's the deal. Here's my take on it, Rick. Having watched Carolina on TV, and it's really not fair at all. But the quarterback, what was Carolina's record last year? They didn't even have a winning season, I don't believe. I don't know. But here's what I know. The quarterback they had playing was not good enough. He was not good enough to get him to a bowl or have competing for a chance to win a championship. I don't see, but don't forget, Rick, my number one thing with quarterbacks, the number one thing they have to have to your program, your organization, is hope. They got to give you hope. And I'm not talking about on Saturday. I'm talking about during the week as you prepare, or in January as you prepare, in spring practice as you prepare, in the summer as you prepare, in the preseason you prepare, that one young man gives you hope as a person that's going to handle the ball. It's and the ball is the program, whether they're running it or throwing it. And my misgivings on the UNC quarterback was I know he was a freshman, but all the hype coming out of high school, which is a bunch of BS, which just shows you it is. Why wouldn't they play him? Why redshirt him for the next coach? That was George Welsh's philosophy. We're not going to redshirt kids for the next football coach coming in here when we're fired. We're going to play him. If he was that good, because the one they were playing with last year was not good enough.
No, it was not. No.
At all. And, that's where the game starts. And so I think, Hune, if he's a January kid, what I see of him, saw of him in high school games, I went, wow, his poise and composure. Don't forget, the only misgivings I had about Grunkmeyer was his ability to handle pressure. And the Iowa game really exposed him. And I talked to the D coordinator at Iowa.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We had conversations, and I said, he likes him. They had great respect for him going into the game. And Phil Parker's been there for 27 years at Iowa. And he's been the D coordinator for the last 10, 12 years. And he told me, he said, no, you know, that game particularly. But then when I watched other games, I saw the same thing. You know, he doesn't have the poise when there's pressure around him. And that could come with time. That could come with experience. A lot of factors involved in quarterback development, you know, night and day. I mean, Sean Moore at UVA, his sophomore year, he struggled. Now we won. And we beat really good football teams. But his junior, by the time I think it was either redshirt sophomore or redshirt junior year, the 88 to 89 year was night and day. Next thing you know, we go from a 7-win team to a 10-win team in the ACC championship because of his improvement and his confidence and experience. So,
and just follow the money. I'm just following the money. I mean, they didn't pay him what
I think that's what happened with Coach Pry. But here's the deal. You're dealing with it. Coach Franklin, the number one thing he brings is credibility to everybody involved in the program. You know, it takes years to build it, credibility, and it takes 1 minute to lose it.
That's true.
And so, you know, he's at a point and stage in his career, and this is why the hire was so important, that he's going to play the best player. He's not going to play the one that's getting paid the most. He's not. Okay. And I say that because I gotta believe that like Coach Saban, he's not going to miss in a lot of evaluations when you're going to give.
Well, and that's my point. Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. He knows Grunkmeyer very well. You know, he knows him very well.
I mean, I go back to the Vanderbilt. I'm going back to the Vanderbilt. I know I coached against Vanderbilt when he was head coach for 2 years when I was at UMass. And let me tell you, they were not the sisters of the poor in the SEC. They were in the top half of the SEC as far as talent was concerned, and especially a quarterback. And so, you know, and he's not going to do it with a bunch of tricks and gimmicks. He's not going to have the quarterback be the sole factor at 80. He's going to have productivity on offense with 80% of it being with the quarterback's position. There's no quarterback that's going to be good enough to do that. None. You know, you've got to be able to, you know, have a great running back, a great tight end. I think those two factors that when you look at his offenses that will separate him from a lot of the ACs, kind of like Georgia Tech, but without the quarterback athleticism run, he'll have that same philosophy that Georgia Tech has. Multiple tight ends, big offensive line, really good offensive line play, and a great back. Don't forget, he had a guy at Penn State named Barkley.
Right. So, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He may not have that at Virginia Tech. That's true.
Well, you know, I think he can. I think their backs are pretty good backs. They're good enough. They are good. They're top half ACC running backs. I think the backs that they have. And I think their receiving core is going to be a whole lot better than it ever has been. I like the two portal kids they're bringing in. Of course, the kid from Duke is, man, I'd have him punt return, kickoff return.
Whatever he wants to do, right?
Without a doubt. So that's how I look at it. I'm hoping to get up there in the spring. Try to get up there in the spring. And
that'd be great. That'd be great.
I always make a spring trip, probably around the 18th. Go to UVA practice, go to Virginia Tech practice, go over to Roanoke. That's my use, and then go fishing in the New River.
And then go. I was gonna say, and then hang out with us at our BD at the Super Bowl.
Without a doubt, I'm coming over there.
Tebow loves your Ferrum shirt, by the way. He wanted me to tell you, nice shirt.
Yeah, I got my Ferrum Panther shirt on today.
That is cool.
Where it all started for me.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the other coach, Coach Holtz. I know been a tough time for you. You know, he battled, boy. You know, it was about a month ago, right? He went into hospice.
A full month in hospice.
He kept fighting. He did not stop fighting.
Yeah, my buddy Phil Elmassian put it. He was very correct in this assessment. Phil Elmassian, who played at Fair with me, then we both ended up playing at William Mary. He was a year ahead of me. He was like my mentor, a true brother to me at both schools. And he made the comment. He goes, Phil, that's what positive mental attitude will do. It's going to extend, by all rights, it mean he should have passed 3-4 weeks ago, but all of a sudden a month and a couple of weeks later, he's still fighting the fight. And that's basically what a positive mental attitude would do. Because if I had to describe Lou, it was a genuine, and I'd have to put the word genuine in front of it, a genuine positive mental attitude. And that's what he was all about, for other people. That's what rubbed off on people that he played for him and worked for him. Rick, what's interesting, I probably have gotten more texts and calls from non-football people that didn't play for him, didn't coach for him, didn't play college football, but know me. Since I've retired, I've expanded my circles of people I get to know. Now that I'm retired, and it's been so heartfelt. They've all reached out, and non-football people. That's how impactful this man was, and people that didn't know him. But he had an impact on a lot of people that were way extended outside football.
Well, and stories that I know that you have, people have been telling stories. I've been seeing them all over social media and talking about some of the things that he said. They're all true. Did you have one that maybe we haven't heard about yet? That you could...
Not necessarily a story, but they were having played for him for 1 year and coached with him at Minnesota. I got both perspectives, which is fascinating from that perspective, and a whole not a lot of difference. The one thing I will say, in 2021, he was inducted into the College of William Mary Football Hall of Fame, and it was a big deal. It was a summer, and they really did it right. Matter of fact, anybody can YouTube his induction quote speech. They did it in the Wren building on the campus at William Mary, where they had him. There were about 30 Notre Dame guys on that 88 team, and there were about 30 William Mary guys. There were about 60 former football players there representing the 69, 70, 71 classes at William Mary, the 3 years, and then the 88 Notre Dame team. And you could YouTube it. The speech is on YouTube. Just William Mary Hall of Fame induction for Lou Holtz. It was great. And the one thing I remember, at the lodge, they had a big get together afterwards at the Williamsburg Lodge, and I got to spend time with him during the day, but that evening I finally got him where he was not with people, and I thanked him for everything that he did for me. And what people won't realize, the 1993, the impact at Virginia Tech that I was able to have, on my hire, was all because of him. I literally, the Lou Holtz in me kicked in. I've always had, I've always taken, because of the impact as a player, more than coaching, with the impact as a player, this is the coach I wanted to be. This is with my own personality.
Right.
I'm going to divert a little bit. A lot of assistant coaches that work for great coaches like a Nick Saban, a Lou Holtz, or a Bo Schembechler, they fail because they try to be Nick Saban, Lou Holtz, and Bo Schembechler. That's their personalities.
Yeah.
and they fail miserably. The ones that succeed, like Barry Alvarez, Kirby Smart, they don't change. This is who they are. This is who they were before they got to Alabama or before Barry got to Wisconsin. And this is who they are while they were there as head coaches. The personality never changed. Now, the principles were applied. And I'll never forget the first meeting with Coach Holtz, the first team meeting I was ever involved in. He walked in that room and said, sit up. He did the same thing at Notre Dame, every place he's ever been, the very first meeting, because the first meeting is the most impactful. You don't have to have, if your first meeting sends the message, you don't need the second and third and fourth meeting. All you need is one. And the first one is the most important one because it's going to set a tone. And that's all you need. And that's what he did. And it was sit up, put your feet on the floor, and take your hats off. And I mean, like that, the attention was, you could hear the feet going, people sitting up, hats are on, and the eyes are on him. It's a punch in the mouth, basically. And that's this is where, this is where the winning begins. When you go into losing situations, the winning begins by getting everybody's attention. This is by the little things. Okay, sit up, put your feet on the floor, take your hats off. Okay, we just now have started to win with the little things.
Little things, right. That nobody's thinking about in that room when they walk in there to hear from him for the first time.
People talk about the little things. Well, what are they? Well, real simple. You go into a losing program, and the very first meeting you have with a football team is sit up, put your feet on the floor, take your hats off, and track the speaker with your eyes. Okay, and then that's so. Guess what? My first meeting at Virginia Tech, you could talk to Brian Steinspring or anybody that was in that room. Sit up. My first meeting was sit up, put your feet on the floor, take your hats off, and then I continued with, I'm going to a bowl next year. I just hope I can bring your ass with me. And that set the tone. That set the tone. And the other things, the other impactful that I know anybody that's played for him or worked with him, especially playing for him, he was big into you are who you are from the choices you make. He's always made the statement that has stuck with me was the greatest power God gave you is the power of choice. And with choices go consequences. And it is so true in anything you do, whether it's football, family, business.
Yeah.
There was a saying he used to have, situations are neutral, but attitudes aren't. Okay. When you're in a situation, now you have a choice of the attitude you're going to have, whether it's good situation, bad situation. It's your choice to fit the attitude in the situation you're in, especially when it's not going well. These are the things that he impacted players with, that carried my coaching career, and motivations. It was another thing that he would always say, that don't mistake activity for productivity.
Yes.
And that was another, everything you do has a purpose behind it. And when you look at the Nick Sabans and the Lou Holtz, the Barry Alvarez's, you could shake them in a bottle and throw them out there, and they're all the core of the philosophical core of developing the expectations for winning. It's all the same. It's Groundhog Day. It's all the same. Nothing's changed.
Well, I just, my biggest, I guess, remembering Coach Holtz was at Notre Dame. He was at Minnesota the 2 years. I think they'd won one game the prior before he got there. Then he got them up to 4 wins, then 6 wins in a bowl game. And then Notre Dame was the job that, hey, I'm going to go to Notre Dame. And he walked in there aggressive with that snarl, just going to the holy grail of all places that had been down for so long. And he knew he was going to turn them around. And sure enough, he got him a natty. I'll never forget him walking around in that Notre Dame sweater and the cap and just walking up and down the sideline, right? It was just like, I'm here and I'm going to turn this place around. And he did.
He had a lot of extensive conversations with Eric Parsegian. And when you look at pictures of Eric coaching in Notre Dame, it was the same kind of, I don't say it's one of the sweatshirt, but the same game day apparel that era wore. When you look at pictures of Eric, what he wore,
that's right.
You look at pictures of Lou, and I really believe that was a tribute to Eric.
I do too. That's a good point. He wore that same Notre Dame sweater thing, the whole sweatshirt. Yeah.
And Lou was a big man on traditions. And I'll tell you, the Minnesota, probably my opinion, the best coaching job that he did because it was the most difficult, I promise you, that I've ever gone into. And I really believe, every program he went into, NC State, Arkansas, Minnesota, Notre Dame, had losing seasons. And when you have losing seasons, there's a lot of issues that go with that. It's the shrapnel from the grenade of losing. You get used to it, and that's the expectation. It's not winning. And when he called me up, he says, "I just took the worst job in America." They were 1-10. They were 0-6 in the Big Ten. Their defense gave up 47 points per game. Nebraska put 84 on them. Ohio State put 69. Iowa put 61. Michigan put 58. Wisconsin put 56. And Illinois put 50. Those 6 games were 50 more points per game. And which created all sorts of issues. And the next year we went 4-7, but we beat Wisconsin, who had a really, really good team. We held them to 14 points. We knocked Iowa out of the Rose Bowl. They were a top 2015 team. We held them to 17 points. We held Nebraska to 38 points in Lincoln, and they gave us a standing ovation because they put 89 the year before.
Hey, you held them below 40. Yay!
As a fact. We cut it in half. They really did this. The fans gave us a standing ovation because we made it competitive, more so than it was the year before. Then the next year in '85, I had left. I went to Virginia Tech, and that's another story in itself. But John Gutekunst was the D coordinator, who was a former Tech coordinator, and they went 7-5. They beat Clemson in the Independence Bowl. So in 2 years, they went from 1-10, 4-7 to 7-5 with and this is more about wins and losses. Let me tell you, you named the problem in football. This was another acronym. I've mentioned this to you before on previous shows. Of the first time we ever talked about Lou and the very first meeting he had, staff meeting with the whole athletic department at Minnesota. I'll never forget it. And it really impacted me. He had an acronym for failure. And the first letter is F, which is fundamentals. Your fundamentals will break down. And when your fundamentals break down, all of a sudden, you become apathetic. Apathy sets in when fundamentals break down, and which is basically your responsibilities are not as important to you as they were before. And then you become insecure. Then your insecurities follow becoming lazy. When you're lazy, then you become unsure of yourself, and then resentment will set in. And then the bottom line is then you lose all your enthusiasm for what you're doing and who you're doing it with. And if you really look, they spell failure. And he went on that board and for everybody in the athletic department. And that went on that board. And that was so true. Another first thing I did at Virginia Tech was to go on that board and put down, this is how you fail. This is why you fail. This is why people fail in anything and everything they do. You let fundamentals go, you become apathetic, you become insecure, lazy, unsure of yourself, you have resentment, and you lose your enthusiasm. I don't care what business you're in. If your business is failing, that's your reason. And it all starts with your fundamentals.
No, I agree. And it's lessons we can take in our lives, not just in football, but fundamentals of life, right? We kind of forgot about that too often.
Well, that's what he was teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he taught everybody.
Yeah.
It was more the one something. And the other thing too, as a coach, there were certain things, these were fireable offenses. He really believed this because when you look at the programs he went into, people, well, we're not, you'll never hear Lou Holtz ever say, we're not talented enough. We have to get better talent. We have to recruit better. No, we have to change attitudes.
Yeah.
And his other big acronym, which I carried with me throughout my whole coaching career, was the first time I ever heard it was what winning meant. And win was what's important now, right now, in the moment. He was the first person I've ever heard that ever broken down to the acronym of what winning is. And but he had little things that he wanted to see on film. I don't care what position you were playing, offense, defense, outside of the quarterback, play with a base. I'm going to have to read this off. Play with a base, bend your knees, get your proper arm and leg free, shoulders square, head up, and have a proper alignment. Rick, you played the game. That's nothing to do with talent. Zero to do with talent. These things he wanted to see on film. Because if you have those things, you have a chance. You'll have a chance with whatever talent you have. But if you don't have those were the little things. Those were the little things as he wanted to see. If your position were not doing those things on film, okay, you're getting called in the office and you're probably looking for another job.
And that's why you see talented teams that don't do the fundamentals not reach what their potential could be because they're not doing those things. So.
I can watch TV, Rick, and give me about 10 minutes watching a game out.
I bet.
Oh no, I can tell you this team is fundamentally poor.
That's my goal for the upcoming season. I want to get with you. I want to watch a game with Coach Elmo. That's what that's what we should do. We should do a show and just have you on and just have a game on. We're going to watch together. I'd just love to watch you break it down. That'd be cool. Well, Coach, listen, I appreciate. Yeah, go ahead.
One recruiting story you'll appreciate because the others were so. I just wanted to share the philosophies. There was method behind his madness, and he was demanding. I mean, of all the coaches, like I said, I'm the poster child for the most abused college coach, working for Coach Saban and Coach Holtz. You talk about this ass is a lot smaller than it was yesterday, Rick. But I had Chicago for recruiting real quick, if you got time on this one.
Yeah, sure.
Most people put three, like Iowa had three coaches in Chicago. You had the central Chicago, the city area, and extending out west suburbs and the north suburbs and the south side. So most coaches that were going to recruit Chicago had three coaches. Next thing you know, I got Chicago for recruiting. I had Chicago and Chicago proper, extending from the city to 30 miles outside, all the way to even Rockford, for God's sakes. Basically it was northern Chicago down to Kankakee as far as South Chicago and up to Evanston, where Northwestern is in northern Chicago, which is close to the Wisconsin border. So the athletic director in charge of recruiting, Gerald Odell, he told me, he goes, Phil, I don't know how you're going to do this, because he had Chicago for recruiting. But most people, like I said, will put three coaches in there. Well, I'm the only one in there, and I am hustling. I mean, I'm going in and out of schools. And so the class, the first full class that we had signed, I've got 7 kids that were visiting it was like Frank Cornish, Mount Carmel High, great powerhouse Catholic high school. Frank Lenti was the coach, and he was Lou's GA at Arkansas. So we had an in. He had a great player, and told the mom. He's told the head coach to the mom, said, "Yeah, he should visit Minnesota." We got the visits because of Lou, not because of anything I did. But the bottom line is, we had Frank Cornish from Mount Carmel, a kid named George Streeter from Julian High in the city, and that was us in Notre Dame. Another kid at York High outside the suburbs. Kurt Zackerson, it was us at Notre Dame. Chuck McCree, who was a Sun-Times Player of the Year, he was outside the suburbs. 2 other kids, the one kid, Steve Glosson, great linebacker, brilliant kid. It was us, Purdue, Illinois. He wanted engineering. He's Amos Alonzo Stagg High School. How about that, Rick?
Hey, I love that. That's cool.
That's cool. So basically, it's in the city. There were a couple of in the cities, and then all of a sudden, 30 miles outside the city in the south, the west, and the north, it was like, oh my God. So all of a sudden I told Gerald, the AD, I said, Gerald, because now it's time. They're officially going to visit. And now Lou's got to get into the home or go to the school to see the kid. Okay. So I told Gerald, I said, I need Lou for 2 days. Or during the day, or at night, we'll do 3 home visits, and then in the morning, 4 or 5 school visits. Because I got to go, but the traffic, you got to remember now, you got to avoid the expressways. You got to go down these, everything's east, west, north, south. So but you got to time this out. And every school visit, and going 40 miles in and out of the city. So all of a sudden, Gerald goes, okay, yeah. And he understood. He goes, no problems, Phil. I'll talk to Lou. All of a sudden, Lou pops in my office. He goes, 1 day, and walks out. 1 day. I went, son of a bitch. So I start calling this is Friday. I got to get this set up for Monday. So I'm in there Friday and Saturday calling high school coaches. I got my best advice from one of the assistants that brother says, save the best 2 for last or you'll lose him. He'll get impatient. This is a man that got $2,000 every time he opened his mouth for public speaking. So guess what? He understood recruiting, but he wasn't really a big fan of recruiting. He had other things he wanted, So bottom line is, so on Sunday, what I do is I fly into Chicago on Sunday. I go through the route. I literally, even though it was Sunday, non-traffic, I'm timing. I'm going to the high school. I'm going to where the home is, blah, blah, blah. And there's no GPSs, Rick. I got a map in front of my steering wheel. I'm lucky I'm not dead, doing all these things. I wake up Monday morning. There's 6 inches of snow on the ground. I'm picking them up at Midway Airport at 6:30 in the morning. The day starts at 6:30. I went, oh my God. So all of a sudden I go to the 4 high schools, save 2 or 3 home visits for the evening. I got him out of there at 6:30. He said, hey, that's the best visitation I've ever had. But halfway through, he goes, what about lunch? I go, Coach, not in the itinerary today. Sorry. So it was like,
that's good.
Holy
that's good stuff.
Crap. You talk about a tight butthole.
I bet. Yeah.
Oh no, because he'll start. You've never been dog, not necessarily dog cussed, but just the man was ruthless in terms of getting the job done, and his own. I don't care how rocky the sea is, just bring the ship in.
Just bring the ship.
Attitude,
yeah.
So
well, Coach, thanks so much for jumping on, man. I know
you
needed a couple of days, man. That
Sorry
was good.
to belabor.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I appreciate it. It's a great story. It's a great story.
Well, I appreciate it, Rick. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything you do, and I think it's a great show. My brother loves your show, by the way.
Oh, that's great. Make sure he subscribes. Tell him
he will. He's living in Michigan, so you'll have a Michigan guy on the subscription list. Have a good day, Rick.
All right, you too, man. And thinking about you, Coach. We're thinking about you, man. I know it's tough. All right. Have a good weekend, brother. Go Highlanders. There you go. Coach Elmo joining us on the program. Great stuff from him, man. Great stories. And, he was so close with Coach Holtz, so I thought it would be great to have him on today to talk about Lou Holtz and his legacy. We keep going from great to great. Joining us now on the program is that gentleman, the renowned author, Roland Lazenby. How about that? Phil Elmassian, Roland Lazenby. My goodness gracious. This is a morning here. What's up, man? How are you doing, Roland?
Doing good, Rick. You well?
Doing great. Doing great. You look great. Oh, I love that cover back there. That's it. The Life. Great book. I've read it. Greatest player of all time. I'm sick of all this other chatter. Let's just stop. But anyway, how are you,
He's
man?
on his way to being the greatest NASCAR owner of all time.
What's going on with
this
that?
week.
3 in a row. Wow.
Year. Yeah, that is. But you don't want to let MJ down. Nobody has an easy feeling around here.
You and I on the radio show, we've talked about this, but what set him apart? When you had so many lengthy, the book is terrific. Anybody hasn't read that book, you're missing out. What was it about Michael Jordan that drove him to be the best every day?
Well, among the biographies, Michael, Kobe, and Jerry West.
Oh.
And I was thinking a while back, they all cared on a deeper level. Magic, too. I just did a biography on Magic a couple years ago. They all cared on a deeper level. And I first thought of, I ought to write about learning to care on a deeper level. And then that raised another question. Can you learn that? Is that instinctive? What wires you early in your life to care on that level? Deep. It's buried in the psyche. And they're all perfectionists. My dear friend Tex Winter said, these great athletes, they're all perfectionists. And a lot of it points to their mothers. I don't know. But, you talk about the American frontier. Well, the whole damn country was a frontier.
That's right.
And so the female duties, from chopping wood to keeping the home fires burning, the burden on them was incredible. And they were perfectionists. That's the perfectionist strain in the American character, in my opinion, because if they weren't perfect, people died.
Right.
And Jerry West picked it up from his mother. Perfectionism can be a miserable state.
Sure can.
But there is a certain thing about these figures that rise and take everybody else with them that they don't like to brook any slouching.
100%. And you've talked to the best amongst the best. Do you ever just sit back and you wonder, like, where you were maybe 50 years ago? And did you ever think maybe you knew you wanted to be an author and you were VMI, you were going through the rat line and all that, and now here you are and what you've accomplished, and you've been able to talk and get to know these people are your friends. Does that ever just kind of like
you can't be a biographer and keep a friend?
Well, this is true. Because you got to be truthful. That's right.
You have to go for who they are. They're remarkable people. They have accomplishments, but they can be really tough. It's like Phil Jackson told me. He said, there's no power like walking in an NBA building on the road with Michael Jordan, getting off the bus with Michael damn Jordan. But he said, on those days between games, he could be mighty hard to live with.
Sure. Like a family. It's just like, yeah.
And, you can't flip it off and on. It's not a switch. It's in the bones. I have a little something for you.
Yeah.
Hokie listeners.
Yeah, we got a lot of them.
UVA played Wake Forest the other night, and they had an old police dog they were going to honor with retirement, and they brought him out on the floor with that crowd. And of course, humans love dogs, so they got loud, and the old pooch took 2 huge dumps on the floor. Not 1, but 2 dumps.
Well, he didn't like he didn't like the noise.
The next item involving the brothers down the road in Charlottesville, a close insider of the program says their nil payroll in basketball this season is $17 million.
Wow. That sounds about right. Yeah. Wow.
I don't know what Virginia Tech's is, but I don't see any way that is sustainable.
No, it can't be. And I'm not one that thinks that we can turn things over in college athletics to the government or anywhere else, but I don't know who regulates it. We've been talking about this a lot, Roland. Where does the regulation come from to stop it all, to make it make sense? I don't know.
Well, I think you have to take it back to, you have to search in the legal definition, name, image, likeness.
And it's not what it is. Right.
You're paying them just like you're paying them to be in ads as public figures. Well, there's nowhere in a free and open marketplace that if the nil average at Virginia Tech is 1.5 million or whatever, there's no way those kids in a local ad market are going to generate that kind of revenue. So all it is pay for play.
Correct. 100%. That's all it is.
And I'm happy they're making money, but it really has to come. I just know that you asked me if I thought about being a sports writer at 20, 21, 22. I was reckless and insanely reckless at that age. Yeah. And if somebody gave me $1 million, I'd have been dead in 6 months. And so I hope that they're not just passing out the cash in bundles, that it comes with some kind of financial guidance, because the idea with college athletes is that most of them are not going to have lengthy careers. They're going to have their injuries all their lives.
Correct. Yeah.
They're going to have the scars of what they do. And they're going to have their memories, but and a free education. But the values have been put in a blender. And so I think that's the hard part. We can't figure out, well, we got to win now. And the other thing is, we get 8 minutes at the Hall of Fame to make a talk. And I'm going in with a lot of impressive people. So, it's a different thing to go into a Hall of Fame as a damn writer.
Yeah, right. You're not used to 8 minutes. You're used to 800 pages.
Well, no, the talking is the easy part. The hard part is being there with all that greatness, and you're just some guy with a recorder or a notepad scratching out stuff, covering a ball game. But I was thinking about Michael Vick, and I started teaching at Virginia Tech in 1999. He electrified that place like no one else.
Or ever will again. Right.
They may have the good fortune to have another young quarterback come into the program like that. I don't know. But I was wondering, I'm not an expert in, I had to do a picture books once on the 100 greatest quarterbacks, I think it was. It's easily a forgettable book. This was back in the 80s when I was writing coffee table books. But is Michael Vick in the conversation for the greatest college quarterback of all time? He doesn't have all the pelts. He doesn't have championships. He got to the game. He didn't get to the game. He took his team to the game.
He changed the game. Yep, he did.
He did. He had what did he have? Like a 95-yard quarterback sneak at one point, or
something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know where he stands, but I know this. Talk about nil money.
Oh my gosh!
You know, if Virginia Tech managed to get another Vic, would they have the money? They'd probably have to go into the endowment to hold on to it.
Oh, there's no doubt. We ask Dwight that all the time when he's on the show, Dwight Vick, about how much money Michael would be making in today's market, being the player that he was.
Right.
Woo. Yeah.
That would be a remarkable thing. Place, context, because I write biographies, that's a huge thing. When I sat down with Michael, he was getting up on to 50. We were in the upper deck down in at the Orlando pre-draft camp. And I was talking with him. I asked him to look back on his career. He said, well, timing is everything. And he had perfect timing. And, opportunity comes with perfect timing. And there's so many things that go into that. Michael wrote Terry Holland at UVA and wanted to go to UVA to play with Ralph. And Terry had to inform him they weren't recruiting him. Terry told me that himself. And that to me is an amazing story about the woes of athletics in the state of
Terry Holland had to piddle. Yeah, we're not recruiting Michael Jordan. Wow.
And Jordan was a relative unknown, but he was getting known in a hurry. But and they were really trying to get Chris Mullen, who went to St. John instead. But Terry said there was no way Dean Smith was going to let Michael Jordan get out of North Carolina. Now, in the days before NIL, there were programs that.
Oh yeah. Blue Chips is a very accurate movie.
It is. Well, I played as a walk-on for a year at VMI. And that the seniors and the older guys on that team, the varsity was 1-10. Freshmen weren't eligible. We had to scrimmage them 4 days a week. It was great fun. They were beat all to hell. But even at VMI, the seniors were getting $50 handshakes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was working for the town of Whitfield, unstopping sewers in the summers then. And my take-home pay was $28 a week at $1.30 an hour. So that tells you that's a couple of weeks pay, even at a place like VMI.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
It is crazy. But, I just wonder, that's a nice sum Virginia Tech has.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they're aware that Virginia Tech can't pony up $220-some million with any regularity. Now, as I said when I was writing about the program for the Roanoke, not without an oil well or two in the fan base.
I like that. Yeah. Like SMU has been able to, we don't care about the ACC money. We're okay. We got it. How much do we need to join? And they're just like, okay, let me go talk to the donors. They had it within 48 hours. Here you go.
it's a very different world now that the ACC has expanded.
Yeah.
It's not this old tight Southern culture like it used to
like
be.
the old Southern Conference. Yeah.
That's where everything came from. The old Southern Conference birthed the SEC and the ACC.
Absolutely. It was loaded. Yeah. And you had local schools in. It was awesome, the footprint of the Southern Conference.
And best thing of all, you didn't have to fly anybody anywhere. It was all on trains.
That's true. That's right. That's exactly right. How do you think all this ends, Roland, with college athletics? How do you think this all gets brought into common sense, or can it now that Pandora's box has been opened because of all the fear of litigation if they do try to somehow put rules into place, right? I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Well, the money will run out in some places before it runs out in others.
Very good point.
And so
it is already, yeah.
Ultimately, the competition, which is what this money measures, the competitive hunger will run out in some areas when the money runs out. And that will ultimately dilute the game and the sport that is loved. And, you go back and look at Tech history. It had a long road to building that thing up. Tech football started in the horse and buggy days. They would ride and over to the games in wagons. That's how long Tech football has been played, which is a pretty crazy thought. And it took years, they had an old gentleman that had a big old gobbler hitched to a little buggy. He would ride around the stadium, and the fans that was when they would get real nutty, seeing that turkey pulling that little cart around the stadium.
Yeah, you're right.
And so these kinds of things, that's why you have tradition. But I think Neil is going to wipe out a lot of memory.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you said, I've been saying this since the show started, it's pay for play. Neil was an idea out of the O'Bannon ruling, and that's not at all what's going on. It's not what it is. Free agent contracts is all this is.
Everybody's operating pro sports franchises in two sports. It would be as if the Commanders had a basketball team, if they bought the Wizards.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And you're trying to operate two in two different facilities.
Right.
And it's a huge undertaking. I mean, the universities are challenged. They are fighting like crazy for their lives. People don't realize higher ed is threatened on every front.
Yep.
And here comes artificial intelligence.
That's right. Advancing by the hour.
These are dire things. I don't know. There's an old blues song. People got to run and pray.
That's about all that's left. That might be all that's left, Roland.
I hope not. I do not want to be a pessimist. I came along in the 60s when they were shooting politicians and moral leaders right and left. You couldn't absorb it all.
Somebody asking, who was the one basketball player or the more that you grew up admiring when you got really your love for sports and basketball? Was it football? Was there an athlete or two that stood out when you were growing up?
Yeah, Frank Beamer was the first one. I was from Whitfield, and he was a different bird coming along up there. A jump pass to the tight end was a liberal approach
yeah, right.
in high school football. And he came along. His coach had looked at Johnny Unitas and the Colts, and he really opened it up for Frankie. And I remember my brother's 10 years older than I was, and my brother was a hell of an athlete. He could fly, and football, basketball, baseball, track, all of it. As a postgraduate of Fork Union, he lettered in 4 major sports.
Wow.
He would high jump my brother between innings. He would high jump for the track team. But,
with his baseball uniform on, he would go over and do the high jump.
But when Frankie Beamer and Hillsville High School came to Whitfield to play, down there on Withers Field, the stands were packed, and my brother was long gone from Whitfield. He drove in from out of town to see Frankie Beamer. And awesome. that was the first. That was my first recognition of an electrifying big time athlete. And I had the first guy I admired, I read about him in the paper every day, was Bob Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what race he was. He might have been pink polka dot for all I knew. But he was great. And I read everything I could about the St. Louis Cardinals. And it all came to people in the newspaper. Where there were no sports, highlight shows, none of that stuff.
Right.
And Whitfield, we didn't even get ABC. We only had 2 channels.
Yeah, too fuzzy. It was too fuzzy out of Lynchburg.
Oh, it was a rabbit ears world back then.
Well, it's great to be able to visit with you. Congratulations again. Of course, Roland Lazenby, part of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame class 2026. That's later in April, right? The last week of April, you're going to be inducted?
It's my father's 110th birthday.
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome.
It's a good day. And going in with Michael Vick and going in with Coach Tony from UVA. I mean, there's some critical dudes. Going in with Grant Hill. I was talking.
Wow.
I was doing a story on the improbability in sports. And I was looking at Jalen Williams from OKC. And I was talking to his college coach, who was on that Kentucky staff when Grant Hill threw that pass. And so I was talking with them about Jalen being a really improbable story. And so I brought that up. He could not, he was verklempt. 30 years later, he can't talk about it.
He's still not ready to talk yet.
Oh, the pain. I was coaching a youth league game and we lost the lead in the last seconds. This was 30 years ago. I don't care what you do. When you have something like that smack you, Bill Walton told me, he said, I've won and won and won. The games, when they lost NC State, he said, that was a stain on my soul.
Yep. 100%. No reason to lose it. Shouldn't have lost it, had the lead. Yeah, he never talked about the championships or the wins. It was that game against Mr. Thompson and the Wolfpack. Yep. Every time.
Interviewing Bill Walton, you talk about losses. I'll just close with this. The opportunity to sit down one-on-one with folks over the years that I've had, to be the screw up I was most of my life. I didn't even have a 2.0 average at VMI. I finally graduated. They let me go with a 1.997.
Round it off. You're fine. Go, baby.
Get away from here. We are fed up with you.
You're in. You're out. You're out, I should say.
And so to end up having the opportunity to learn from a lot of magnificent people is a wonderful thing.
It is. Well, you're one of those people for a lot of us as well. And congratulations. I'd like to get you on again when we get a little closer, or maybe after you're inducted. A lot of stuff I want to come up with and ask you about that experience too, and what you interacted with your fellow Hall of Famers. I think that would be cool. So
Boo Williams,
right.
I coached AAU basketball. I coached in the state AAU championship against the Boo Williams organization. That electrified everybody in this state. They were scared to death of Boo Williams. He raised the temperature, the basketball temperature of this state. Amazing stuff. It's sort of amazing the cross-section of people they got going in.
Yeah,
they wanted to bring in Mia Hamm, but she lives in California.
Can't make the trip. Can't make that trip.
All right, buddy.
Hey, great to see you, Roland.
You have a great week.
We'll talk again soon, man. Congratulations again on the honor. Much deserved. Much deserved. All right, be good. Take care. Roland Lazenby. How great was that? Great author and philosopher. I want to ask. There's a lot of things I want to ask Roland when we get him on. A lot of things. And one of those is, I want to compare the NBA he used to cover when he was doing all these great things, and then what happened to him. What's happened to the league now, right? Going forward. Jen the Gamecock Girl going to join us here coming up. Send her the invite. She was in the green room and then she disappeared. So let me make sure I'll send her another invite here. There we go. I'll be heading out today shortly after the show to Johnson City for the Big South Tournament, as Mike Ashley would say. Thanks to all of our sponsors again, Sundown Electric, the Ready Set Fund, Professional Door Incorporated, thanks to National Bank, member FDIC, the attorney Ryan Pry in Radford from our BDST fan question of the week, Little River Heating and Air in Christiansburg, Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor, National Bank, member FDIC, thanks to them. Thanks to Mark Hundley, McClellan Chiropractic, Family Fencing. Thanks to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, NRV Super Bowl, and Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. All right. Rolling along now. Oh, my goodness. She's in official work mode here. It's Jen the Gamecock Girl. What's going on? Good morning.
Hey, I've got a lot going on at the office, so you get a little view of the other side.
Wow. Look at you. All professional looking and everything.
Well, I don't know about that, but I am at the office.
Oh, you look great. You look great as always. I'm telling you, you make glasses. You make glasses worth wearing, Jen. I'll tell you that. I don't look like you when I wear my glasses.
I've never seen you in them, so I don't know.
Well, there's a reason. So what's going on? How are you? I know, we talked to Coach Elmo, and of course, Lou Holtz impacted the South Carolina athletics culture for probably forever, for the time that he spent there. I saw your great picture of him. And what do you remember about that time when Lou Holtz was there and what he brought to South Carolina football? And, I guess with Coach Spurrier, it kind of was similar in a lot of ways, but you haven't been able to kind of recapture that, since then.
I think he was just such a culture changer on an institutional level, because I think he changed a lot on the academic side too. And really, even with all his motivational speeches, him being a motivational speaker as one of his gigs, he just had that ability to make all of us feel empowered to do something better than what we're doing already. I remember he had moved to South Carolina and he commented about all the garbage on the side of the highways. And before long, that was a big campaign for the entire state to get that cleaned up, looking nicer. He just had that kind of influence. And gosh, I mean, he's just so easy to love, so grandfatherly, just so a man of faith, a good person, above and beyond football. He was about being a good person. And I think he had a lot of good life lessons for our players and for, again, everybody at the university feeling inspired and trying to think more globally and not just about our little fiefdoms. And I enjoyed that about him a lot. He was so considerate and pleasant too about signing things. I have a huge stack of various things he signed for me over the years, and always grateful to people on the academic side. He always had a guest coach program where he would welcome the academic people, and that's where I got my picture with him, was from being a guest coach. And he was always grateful to us when we would be so excited to be down there on the sideline. He'd say, no, the reason we're here and we exist is because of the teaching part of USC. And he was really committed to that message with the players and with us, which, always very gracious and kind.
And I know people will look, well, his record wasn't that great. All right, look what he inherited with South Carolina football. He had a winless first season. Didn't win a game, but he realized it was going to be a long, long rebuild. And you guys needed the ultimate rebuild done at South Carolina. And then what happens the next year? You win 8 games, you go to a bowl. He's the national coach of the year. In just 2 years, he turned it around. And then they kind of leveled off. I think, what did he have, like 9 wins the next year and another bowl?
Gosh, I'm losing track of that. He improved every year that he was here.
And then it kind of leveled off a little bit at the end. But unbelievable what he did. At that time, you guys didn't have a football program, basically.
It was fun. I don't know if you remember this. I was living in Virginia at the time in Blacksburg, and I drove down for all those 0-11.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And I think it was around the time that you and I were first becoming friends, and I think I was calling into the show at that point, maybe. But when we were there, again, the sense of anticipation was building in it. Even though we were losing, it felt like we were finally moving somewhere a little bit better with it. And to be candid, that year we went to the bowl game was influential in my decision to come back here to work, because I was just so swept up in it and just really excited about the growth of both the football program and the university, because it was bumping up our application numbers and just changing our profile on a national level. And that was part of my interest in trying to come back here. So yeah, he was a huge influence on so many people. And the players, his former players, have been talking in the media about his kindness after graduation and his ability to still stay in touch and motivate his former players and show care for them. And I know a lot of them visited him in hospice care, which I thought was really sweet.
So you went from Lou Holtz to Steve Spurrier. That's a heck of a 1-2 punch to get your program back on track to kind of build up to what the SEC was going to turn into, right? Wow.
The rumor was that the two of them used to play golf together and communicate a lot. And Lou indicated to him, hey, I think I'm going to roll out of here. You've got any interest? And I think it started to develop that way after Spurrier was wrapping up his unfortunate time with the former Redskins and what was next. But it turned out great for us. So.
Absolutely did. And then look what you've had ever since. But, is what it is.
It hasn't been 0-11. Like, once you've been there and been in that, then maybe that's part of our problem culturally, is because we're so used to things like that. Maybe we tolerate too much. It's like, again, like having a crappy boyfriend.
Right. The guy who's telling you shouldn't eat that. It might be fatty.
Yeah. And then it's terrible. And then he sends you flowers and he's like, hey, I've got sweet club level tickets for Washington. You want to go for the weekend? And I booked the Ritz-Carlton, and then it's real good for like a weekend, and then back to the usual.
And then it's back to bringing out the scale when you're out to dinner with him.
Right. Or blowing your nose at the table or using nose spray or things like that. Saying that SEC is an evil empire. Maybe that on a date with an SEC person.
He's sitting there and all of a sudden he just breaks open his shirt. He's got the Vicks vapor rub rubbing it on his chest. Sorry. What would you like for dinner?
The nose spray thing too, like he didn't even try to conceal it like with a hand, or it was just like straight up like right at the nostrils. Yeah.
Why didn't you just say, hey, I gotta go to the restroom real quick, I'll be back, right?
I don't know.
Why not just do that instead of, hey honey?
It was
people are asking, what is your job? Oh, she's a big shot. Give us your official job title. Oh, yeah.
I'm an assistant dean for enrollment management, marketing, and communications at the University of South Carolina School of Music. It could not be a longer title. And together with Jennifer Jablonski, it's a lot.
She's a dean, for goodness sakes. A dean at an SEC school. She makes $1 million an hour. It's crazy.
Yeah, music. Oh, yeah, that sounds legit, right?
She's a dean, and she still can't play the saxophone for us.
Not today.
Not today. I know. Well, you can't. You're at work today.
Yeah, I'm in the office.
Yeah,
I think this wallpaper looks like hospital wallpaper. I'm not a big fan of it. I want to
it does.
I want it to be Gamecock Garnet back here.
You know what? It does. That would look a lot better. Yeah, like a little. It does. It looks like you're getting ready to, be examined. Yeah, on the table.
So what are you doing today? What are your symptoms?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, that's true. You're sitting across from the doctor, like you're the doctor. Yeah, you're right. Well, we'll get you in there on the table. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see, but I got this big poster.
Yeah, people commenting on the poster there.
That's from a jazz festival in Europe that I played in when I was 19 with USC.
Are those seahorses?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's a North Sea Jazz Festival, so it's a little play on the North Sea theme.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Very good. Yeah, you need to get. Yeah, you got to change. You're dean, for goodness sakes. You can move and shake. Just get somebody in there to fix it. You leave for one of your weekends with Holly, and you come back and you've got garnet and black, whatever it looks like on your wall. Come on.
I like the way you think, but that's really not how it works in higher ed.
I don't know, but higher ed means whoever's got the power utilizes it and abuses it. So yeah, I know all about that. But,
well, I don't have enough power apparently.
Are they going to do something? Is Shane going to do something to honor Coach Holtz? You think that somebody would do something down there?
Yeah, I know. At the baseball game, they had a moment of silence and honored him there. I'm sure something will happen. I'm just such a fan. When I heard the news, I knew he was in hospice and he'd been sick for weeks. So we all kind of knew it was coming, but I'm still surprisingly emotional about it. It just, I don't know. I've always felt a little kinship with him and a sense of respect and admiration. So it was hard. Like someone like that too. Like if you saw him out in the street and you didn't know who he was, you'd never guess he was a famous football coach. I always liked that about him, that he was something different than what you would think he would be. And I appreciated that part of him too.
What strikes me, and you've had the picture in your possession a long time, but that picture you posted, I was looking at it, and you can see how generally happy he wanted to be in that picture with you. If that makes sense. You can just see the look on his face. It's not like he's doing one of these. He's sitting here frown. Hey, would you come over here? And they go, hey. No, he was all into taking that picture with you. It was pretty cool.
It was cool. And like I said, he was very grateful. There were several people from the academic side, and he was very sincere with each one of us about like asking what we did and thanking us for our work and thanking us for supporting them. And I just don't think you would see that again in the game. It's not the same. And of course it won't be ever again, but it was a good memory. I don't know if you could tell, I cut out one of my ex-boyfriends out of that picture. He's been cropped out. He was on the other side of Lou Holtz.
I couldn't really tell.
Okay, good. Yeah, he is long on the X list because I think that picture was from
That's a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 2003. I had the really skinny little eyebrows. Did you notice my eyebrows were like that? Remember how those were all in, like this skinny little
the little skinny pencil draw them in?
Like Pam Anderson or what's her name? Drew Barrymore. We all had those.
I'm gonna look again here on your
But yeah, I cropped the ex-boyfriend out of that thing.
Yeah, you do. You've got the little thin. Here she is. There's Jen. I don't think you mind. You look great. You always look great.
Thanks.
So who cares? Look at there's Jen and Coach Holtz right there. Look how happy. See, look how happy he is. Look at that.
It was a cool day. Just the whole experience of being a guest coach. I didn't know what we were going to do. And he had us on the field for a little while. We were in the locker rooms prior to the game starting, which was very exciting for me for a variety of reasons to be in the locker room. And it was like a lot of like anticipation for the game and excitement. This whole experience was great. I'll never forget it.
That was great. You could almost see the look on his face like he wanted to coach you to get away from that bozo you were there with. All right.
Well, He's no more. No mas.
No mas. No mas. No mas. Prometheus is asking, what kind of whiskey do you keep in your office?
No alcohol here. I'm trying to stay employed. Trying to remain employed and keep it clean here at work.
All right. So serious question. We just had Roland Lazenby on.
Yes, What a legend. Oh my gosh. So amazing.
Come on. I mean, it's BDST. You know how we roll here.
Well, and from Southwestern Virginia too. I'm proud of that. So go Roland.
I love the way he calls him Frankie Beamer because that's what he called
him.
That's
so cute. I noticed that.
I love that. I love that.
Very affectionate, cute. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've read his Jordan book and I read the Jerry West book. My dad's all-time favorite athlete was Jerry West because he went to West. Then my dad went to West Virginia. So great. He's a great writer. I mean, you learn a lot about Michael Jordan you didn't know about. A lot that you assume, but that's no doubt. So he found out that Virginia spent $17 million on its football roster. Have you heard? And I don't. This isn't judgment, but have you heard any number at all that what your 2026 roster might cost? Is there any rumors down there? It's got to be what, 30 mil at least or more.
I have not even heard of rumors yet. Now, probably some stuff will start to leak out, but nothing yet. I imagine it was much more than last year. That's all I've got.
And how ridiculous does just all this sound that we're talking about this? You think it's like 40, 50 million for the football? It makes zero sense.
Well, like right now we're having this big discussion in Columbia because our men's basketball has been so bad this year and they were bad last year. And the buyout for the coach, who I like the coach, but I just don't think they have enough talent. And I don't think if we run him off, I don't think we would hire anybody much better right now with the talent issue. So there's some discussion here. I think the buyout for Coach Paris is $12 million. And so there's discussion like, well, why don't we just use that to try to buy some talent, give it another year and see what's going on, or use whatever the buyout would have been for this coming year. So I don't know. It gets into much deeper questions then about how to manage the money and the best strategy.
I'll give you my opinion and you can ask for it.
I want to know.
I've now interviewed Lamont Paris the last 2 years for our pregame. And you know how some guys give you a vibe like, you know what? This guy's going to get it done. And this isn't any kind of declaration on his character, but each time I walked away, I thought that's a very disingenuous set of answers. That set of answers that I just received.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, and I just don't think I think you don't hide that when you need to. Like, I think that's going to come out. So yeah, you might be able to get more talent, but I don't, my opinion.
He's the guy. You're just saying he's not the guy.
He's not the guy. And it's nothing against him personally. I don't know him in any way, shape, or form. It's just my limited 20 minutes the last 2 years combined. sitting around with and getting ready, talking to him, getting ready to interview, which I appreciated him doing. But you kind of get a vibe for coaches. I've done this long enough. You kind of know. And he just seems like.
Well, who do you think? Like, if we were to
I have no idea. I think you got to get a young person.
Okay.
Who's sees this whole thing for what it is, and they're willing to latch onto it. That's coming from a successful program where that's been the norm, money being spent, and how they've seen how it's done, and they understand. I don't know who. I have no idea. There's so many young assistants that would qualify, but he doesn't seem to be the guy. Yeah.
It would have to be somebody who's very hungry and just wants to get up in the SEC and make some noise, do something good, like somebody who wants to take on the big challenge. It's hard. Well, the women's team is just killing it so much like that. I mean, it probably is a bit of a resource issue too.
Well, yeah, because women's basketball, yours probably does, your program, the top 4 or 5 programs probably do, but most don't have pay for play money. Most do not. Not to that extent. So Dawn's been able to get what she wants because they've won championships and it's the program down there. So, but the thing about it, in your basketball league on the men's side, it's not overwhelming. And I'm not making an SEC crack, but it's not overwhelmingly tough on the SEC side on the men's side.
Right.
It's not like we're not talking football here, right? I mean, it's a good league, but it's not better than the Big 12. It's certainly not better than the Big 10. It's probably on par with the ACC. Matter of fact, this year I think the ACC is probably better from top to bottom. So I don't think a coach is coming in there being as intimidated as they would be if this were the football side of things.
Well,
right?
Okay, yeah.
Is that fair?
It is fair, and I think too, South Carolina has had success in basketball. It's been a long time ago, so there's hope always that it'll return. It's like our baseball situation. It's pretty dismal right now, but we know it can be much better. We know the potential is there.
I mean, you're 3-14. You're dead last in your league.
Yeah, it's been tough to watch. And part of it for me, I played basketball and I heard Roland talk about AAU, and that brought back memories of playing AAU up there. But I'm used to seeing some big people underneath beating some people up, right? Like pushing people around. We don't have any big people underneath. Like, it's weird to me, like our tallest guys are great 3-point shooters. They're not good underneath the basket. So like, it's not working. Like, we just don't have any presence in the paint at all. And it's been frustrating to watch. It's a big, big talent issue. Maybe what you're saying too, maybe just coaching as well, but definitely talent.
Yeah, he's going to be done. Yeah, I'm just looking. He's going to be probably 10 under 500 when he's done. You're going to finish last. You had the big year when he was in the tournament 23-24. He was given the extension. It hadn't worked out since then. I don't know. Just watching his teams play too, they seem like they're very undisciplined. They're very just kind of all over the place. I don't know. I've seen enough to have a little credibility about what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I think you're going to
played them. You've been there and seen them play. So
I think they're gonna. The reason they're talking about the buyout is they figure they're gonna say, okay, who are we gonna go to now to get it raised to get him out of here? And I think you need a fresh start. But we'll see. And it has nothing against him personally. Sometimes you just can't get the job done, and he's not going to get it done. He had the magical year, so it took everybody by surprise, and it hasn't remotely resembled that since. I mean, lightning in a bottle was great, but Jen, it's like that date, right? You may meet somebody, and then you get out there with. You may have a good first, maybe you have a warm-up drink, and then you get down for the date, and all of a sudden, the guy's sitting there telling you that SEC football is the evil empire, right? And that's kind of what your basketball program is now with Lamont Paris. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful now for the gift of aging, because probably now if I went out with anyone who said the SEC was the evil empire, I'd be like, you know what? I'm out.
Thanks. You know what? I make a better Manhattan than the one I'm having here at this dump. We'll see ya.
Just not worth it to me. So
would you throw the drink in his face? Would you just go ahead and top him off?
No, anything like that. Just clucking out.
Just get up and leave. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Look at your watch. Thanks.
Yeah. Appreciate your time, but this isn't working for me. All right. So in the chat, there was a comment about the buyout, and I just want to address that. So I was talking about like the buyouts happening over time, why the players need to be paid per season. I agree with that, but even in I think with the contract Paris has now, like in 1 year, I think it's $4 million a year that we would pay him. And I'm just suggesting we'd be better off, in my opinion, paying some players with the $4 million, because I don't think we're going to hire anybody any better right now, because they did a survey. You might know about this, Rick. There was a SEC coach survey about the best and worst teams in the SEC basketball, men's basketball, and we ranked last in that too. So, I mean, that's the reality right now, unfortunately.
Well, somebody can come in, though, and change that culture and change it financially, too, if they're the right vibe and stuff. I think they have to understand your place. I mean, you look at where you are in the Pantheon. You're coming in as the men's basketball coach at your place. You're, at best, fourth most important on the food chain right now, because that baseball program is ahead of it. I would go football, women's basketball, baseball, and then men's basketball. Anybody who comes in there has got to understand where they are on the pecking order, right, immediately.
Yeah, right? That's fair. And I think Maneri will get fired, unfortunately, very soon. It's just not working out. Our baseball.
How many natties do you have in baseball the last few years? It's at least two, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Dawn's won how many? 3?
Oh, I lost track of Dawn's. Is it 3?
Is it?
But that's funny that like we're at that spot where I can lose track.
It's at least 3, right? I would think.
The reason I lost track is because we've had, I want to say, 5 SEC championships in a row.
Because we've had so much success, I've just lost track.
Well, in women's basketball, yeah. Not in the other things.
Is it 3? Did you look it up? Or you want me to look it up?
I can't multitask like you can.
Oh, I know. You're not good at that, are you? Well, you yelled at me last time. I was sending out a response to a listener, and you thought I was texting while you were on the air, like we were on a date or something.
In general, you're pretty good at doing it in a sneaky way. I can't do that. Like, I'm going to have to pull up a whole other browser, and like, I can't.
3. I was right. 17, 22, and 24. There you go. See there?
Well, why did it say 3? And then I remembered that, there were some close calls, and I was trying to remember which years. So thank you for clarifying.
So between women's basketball and baseball, you got 5 natties in the last 20 years. So men's basketball,
yeah.
Good luck. Yeah.
Agreed. And, Frank Martin, while he had his...
I know. I like Frank Martin a lot. I know. He was the guy. I agree.
I personally didn't want us to fire him. I liked Frank. Now, he was tough as a Northerner with the mouth that he had.
He's a wild man. He was a wild man.
I think it probably rubbed some people wrong, but I like this fire. And our teams played like him. They were passionate. Now, I will say this. I know you're not a fan of Paris. I feel like our team plays like him because he is he's not a real action-packed, passionate person.
A disingenuous flake.
He's just not the most passionate. I agree with you about him being fakey or not authentic, but I do think he is sort of lukewarm sometimes in terms of energy level.
It's tough to pull off what he pulled off. You go to a Final Four and then you end up 7 games under 500 the next year. That's tough.
No, he didn't go to a Final Four. Is that what you said?
You went to a Final Four? South Carolina basketball?
With Frank Martin. Not with
Frank Martin. With Frank Martin, not with Paris. Yeah. But I mean, you take the program, went to the Final Four, and then all of a sudden you've had back-to-back years where you're 12 and 17, 18, like whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I'm glad that I spent all the money I did when we went to the Final Four, because I went to New York. I threw it all out there. I went to New York for the Sweet 16, and then I flew to Phoenix for the Final Four. I'm glad I did all of that because I don't know if it's going to happen again in my lifetime. It was really fun. It was a good time.
The women will. The women will go this year, but not the men. Not the men.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I'm glad that I spent all the money to do it because
you'll be playing UConn for the Natty again.
Ooh, UConn looks really good. I don't know.
Yeah, nobody's beating UConn. Yeah.
And we've just had so many injuries. I don't know that this is our year, but I got to say, I got to give it to Dawn for good coaching and development of what we've had left behind, because she's done way more with that team than I expected.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. Well, thanks for joining us from the office. We appreciate that. Thanks for making time while you're working, putting your work on hold. It means a lot.
Well, this is deadline time of year for me, and it's constant work. So I'll probably work all day tomorrow, most of Sunday.
Yeah. Pull for those Highlanders. We start our tournament run tonight. So
where are you playing?
Johnson City, Tennessee.
Are you excited about that or no?
We'll be on the air at 8:30 with the pregame, 9 o'clock, the opening tip. It's the last game of the day on quarterfinal Friday in the Big South Conference tournament in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Wow. It was like it just wound you up and you just Jack in the Box.
I tell you what, it's all that cough syrup I drink every morning. It kicks in. All right. It's not a great venue. We're having our tournament in a state that doesn't have any Big South teams. I was watching. I kept flipping through the women's first round last night. There was nobody there. I'm hoping that changes today. We'll see with the quarterfinals.
That's disappointing. Why would you have to stay with no teams?
I don't know. This is the same league that took all the voting power away from all of us in the media for their all conference teams this year. So I don't know. I don't know what the decisions they make. So anyway.
Okay.
You going anywhere this weekend? You traveling?
Not this weekend. I'm not traveling for a little bit. I've got to work. Deadlines.
Work.
It's that time of year. Now, it was fun. My brother visited this week, and he's still here, but he's leaving today. So that's been fun for me because I've been able to leave work and then go home and
sure
hang out with him a little bit. We played a lot of pinball. We have had quite a bit of bourbon tasting going on.
In other words, I've been getting drunk. Sibling drunkenness is what that is.
Some shenanigans. We entered a pinball tournament together, and I learned a lot about how that works because Neil is a nationally ranked pinball player.
I love pinball. 8-Ball Deluxe. Ask him if he liked 8-Ball Deluxe, will you?
I know the game you're talking about, and I will ask about that.
Ask about 8-Ball. It's my all-time favorite pinball machine. I wish I had one here. I would kill to have one. I could walk home and at the end of the day and just play, about for 2 hours. It's the best pinball machine.
You could do that. Funhouse is my favorite one. And I love
Funhouse. I know that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Like obsessed with Funhouse. But
that's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah. No, that's a great one. If I ever become a millionaire, what I'll do is if I ever win the lottery, I'll buy you a Funhouse.
Okay.
I'll buy Neil Leahy a Spy Hunter old arcade game. That's his all-time favorite game. And I'll have at least maybe 2 different 8-Ball Deluxe pinball machines.
Great. I like that plan. Let's go.
Yep. Those things are expensive, though. I looked up one. It's like 20-some thousand. You're like, okay. Yeah, I can't do that one. But
dang.
Yeah.
I don't know that Funhouse is that much. I'll have to look into
it. This one, 8-Ball Deluxe, I think it's quirky with its guts. The mechanics or something. So you have to pay a little more. Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to keep them maintained also. That's a big piece of it. Like you can't just have the outlay of the initial purchase.
Yeah.
You got to keep that thing maintained.
Correct. Well, ask him about that. I want to know what his answer is about 8-Ball Deluxe.
Okay. I'm going to see him at lunch. He's going to pick me up at work for lunch. So I'll find it.
Had a dude with a cowboy hat and a mustache on the.
Oh, yeah. I think they had that at 7-Eleven in Christiansburg. We would go down there to play pinball, and they had some different machines in there. One of them was Taxi. We like playing Taxi a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, he'll know that one. 8-Ball Deluxe. Take a tube shot.
I remember the little. Yeah.
There it is.
Great. What a memory.
Oh, man, I would play the game for hours. Hours. Loved it. Loved it. All
I
right.
like to go to like Pizza Hut or Pizza Inn, those places, and play video games for hours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I got to get on the road. Hey, look at me. I'm the one traveling for a change.
Safe travels.
Thank you. Thank you. You take care, and we will resume next week, and good luck getting all your work done.
Thank you. Go Cox.
Let us know about the saxophone performance sooner than later, please. That would be great.
But not next week, right? Because you're going to be gone?
No, I'll be here next week.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe next week.
Yeah, I'll be here. All right. Maybe next week, peeps. Maybe next week. She's teasing us.
If you're good.
Well, that might be the hard part. It's hard to be good around you, Jen.
Right.
All right. Take care of yourself, dear.
Love you. Bye.
All right. Love you. Tell him. Remember, 8 Ball Deluxe. Ask your brother.
Okay. I will.
All right. Bye. Great week. Great show today. Thanks to Coach Elbow. You're the best. Roland Lazenby. And, of course, the first lady of this program, Jen the Gamecock Girl. All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Go Highlanders. Go Hokies. Everything. Good luck tomorrow to Tech against UVA. Good luck to the ladies tonight against UNC. The Radford women in the semifinals tomorrow. For men start tonight. Hello, Brian. Thank you so much. Hello to Richmond. Tell the peeps in Richmond to subscribe, like, and share. We'll have shorts from the show today. Take care, everybody. We'll see you. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday. And hopefully we'll be talking about a Big South championship or two residing in Radford.